be right back. Oh gosh. Oh no.
What?
Well, one beverage isn't gonna cut it. I'm gonna need a second beverage in case I run out of that beverage. Okay. All right.
This video's been removed by user?
What?
Who did that? It wasn't. It was just up.
Maybe that was just the
Oh. My phone says AGA Productions is live. So on the off chance that we're live right now, hello. But I don't think we are.
That's a good question.
Oh, look, there I am, guys.
Yeah.
This is really awkward. This is awkward right now because we thought we were having technical difficulties, but we weren't actually.
But we're on a
having
different
technical
live stream. This is
difficulties.
not the event live stream.
Oh, is it? There's 2 watching now, but I think I'm one of those that's watching right now.
That would make sense.
No, we got 5 watchers.
Well, on the live stream that I'm watching,
Oh.
which is not this.
I don't know.
Are we live in 2 locations? Now there's 8. There's 8 watching now. Brett.
Hey, we got
Hello.
8. How you
8
guys
watching
doing?
now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys are finding the thing that you should be watching, and
Yeah.
there you go. So we're really good at this, as you can clearly tell. Should I turn mine off?
Hi,
Turn mine
Isabella.
off.
How you doing?
Hello. Thank you for joining us. This is fun.
Yeah, we had a couple technical difficulties. It seems like at first it said the stream was canceled, and I was like, "Why is the stream canceled?" But I'm glad you guys found it anyway.
You dry your tears in time to get on camera. So that's
Jessica 327, we are so glad to do this. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, I'm just giving shout outs to people.
Do this through the whole thing?
No, that's the worst. I'm gonna stop.
I mean, thank you for joining us. That's great, but
I apologize for that.
Stop every time and
yeah, that was horrible.
talk to everybody that comes in there.
So yeah, 5A Summit. Thank you guys so much for joining us. In case you guys have no idea who we are, I'm Brett. Yeah, and we are AGA Productions, or part of it. And then also we have our moderator here, kind of keeping track of the chat over in the corner, right there. Say hi, Jeremiah.
Hello.
Okay, that's all you get. So,
Wonderful.
so yeah, the 5A Summit. We kind of started this whole thing because we did a vlog a while back called 10 Things to 10 Questions to Adopted Asians.
Top 10 things that we hear as adopted.
Yeah. And that kind of took off, and it was funny, and so people started paying attention and watching. We're like, oh, what if we actually started taking it a little bit more serious even, and hitting some of these questions and these topics. Why are you staring at me like that? Because it's not serious? We're not serious at all about things?
Well, I mean, eventually it got there, but the next 3 videos we put out were also not very serious.
Oh, yeah. We did one.
We did one.
It was cute. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to get into the questions here in a minute. Real fast, we got a shout out.
Oh, you want me to do that?
I want you to do it.
Thank you so much to Clara's Hope. Clara's Hope is an organization here we're in Fenton, Michigan, our company, and our livelihoods are based here in Fenton. And TFC Clara's Hope is an organization here that's been extremely supportive of what we do and of us personally. The people there are just fantastic, and they're really geared toward helping out foster care parents and providing as much support as possible for adoption, and just are amazing resources in and around this area and to anybody that's willing to ask them. So that's kind of our shout out, and that's one of our major partners when it comes to this adoption content.
Yeah.
I think I just spilled coffee on you. So thank you so much for Clara's Hope, to Clara's Hope for everything that you've done for us, and we're going to continue to push stuff their way. So this has been just kind of a really fun thing for us to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the
Also,
other last announcement before we kind of start getting into your questions here, because we don't want to waste your time.
boom!
Whoa.
Right there at the bottom. Right there.
Did you time that?
I did. I timed that. It was good. We got t-shirts designed by our one and only Jeremiah Orvis.
Say hi again, Jeremiah. Nope.
Oh, okay. You get one. Sorry. we got some t-shirts going up, and we're actually going to give one t-shirt away here to whoever submits a question. So if you already submitted a question, don't worry, you guys are still in the drawing for it. But, you know, if you have a question tonight, and, you know, let's keep it to adoption. You know, you can ask my favorite color later. We'll get coffee and talk. But if you guys have a question about adoption or anything that you want us to be able to talk about, then submit your question in the live chat, like right here.
That's so fourth.
Melanie McKay says adorable with lots of exclamation marks. So thank you, Melanie McKay, for thinking that we are adorable.
It's true.
Yay. So you guys can go and check out the link below as well for our t-shirts. We're going to be selling those things. We got a couple other things coming out here as well as far as merchandise goes. So that's it for the announcements. Let's get to the content.
Questions?
I'm not going away.
Oh, you're just going over there
Yeah.
like a thing? Okay.
So we got our high-tech piece of paper because that's how we do things here. And so,
Old school.
so we're going to start off with a couple questions that have been asked in previous videos. People are commenting. They've actually been messaging us on Facebook, trying to get the information out there. So let's just get right into it. The first question, this is from Keith R. So shout out Keith if you're watching. If not, what are you doing? Come on.
We're good
Sorry.
at this.
I'm also sick right now, so I'm like sucking on a lozenge, so it might sound a little funny.
That's cute too.
I know, right? So the question is, with respect to the international portion of your adoptions, using a magic time machine, not a regular time machine,
Because regular time machines only go forward.
they only go forward,
Right.
but a magic time machine, what could your parents have done differently, and what did they do well?
In respect to the international portion of my adoption, there's not a ton, honestly, that I think my parents really could have done. I actually, most of my research, I think that the international adoptions, are actually probably less complicated than the domestic adoptions, where, you know, kids actually look like their parents. Like, there was no time ever in my history that I didn't know that I was adopted, because if you had looked at my folks and then looked at me, it's pretty obvious that that we're not a bloodline.
Can I do this?
It's okay if you do it, I guess. I wonder if they still think that's adorable. But I don't think that there was anything that specifically they could have done as far as, like, internationally. There's a ton of stuff, and we'll probably hit on this again, but, like, there's a lot more that's known now. Mm-hmm. So when I was a child, I was adopted and born in 1983, and so there was very few resources available that had done any sort of study or any sort of research about international adoption or adoption in general, because nobody ever really thought about what the long-term effects were going to be, and if there were any. But because the time machine is magical,
magic time
goes
machine.
back. If we could go back with respect to the international portion, like I think I would want to tell my folks that we could that it gets better, and that certain just able to embrace, right? That
Yep.
It's not something that we need to avoid, and I think with a lot of the international adoptees, like we know there's not anything that you can say that's gonna shock me about, you know, my heritage or my parenthood. Like, it's
you don't
not,
look like your parents. Oh no, they found out.
I still don't. Like, I've seen a mirror, right? And
But-
I've seen me, and I've seen them.
But I mean, you know, my parents were awesome. They did a great job as far as the adoption goes, because
They still are awesome.
they still are awesome. They're still, you know, around. And they should be watching, and if not, again, what are you doing with your lives? So anyways, my parents are awesome. Whenever I was younger, you know, they embraced me as one of their family. And if I had questions, they answered candidly and honestly, kind of like what we're doing here. And so I didn't actually... Like, thinking about this question, we talked a little bit before this. What would I tell my parents to do differently? I don't know, if anything, really. I mean, like he said, it does get better. There are going to be times where it's going to be great and times when it's going to really suck. Just because of the whole identity thing that we... But I'm strong enough, he was strong enough, to be able to get through it. And a lot of it is just self-confidence in yourself as an adoptee. So if you're an adoptee out there, this is more for you, having confidence in yourself. being able to believe in who you are. Yeah, sure, your circumstances may have brought you to a different family, a different country, or anything like that, but you're still you. You're still here for a reason. You're still created for a reason. So, what is that? Able to constantly remind yourself that you matter, that you are here for a purpose.
Yeah, I think just the idea that we don't have to pull punches. Like, there's the truth is that we already know, and the sooner that can be made apparent, like as much as I joke about it, like culture camp, for instance, is a thing that we went to, and it was kind of weird and kind of surreal because I'm not really Korean in that respect, and so to go to those things was very strange. But it was an acclimating experience in my early childhood that made it normal for me to have been adopted and come from another country. So yeah. Is there a second part to that question?
What did they do well? My parents are awesome.
Done and done.
Yep.
So my folks never avoided it.
Yeah.
It was never a thing that they didn't want to talk about or didn't want to bring up. They just talked about it, and we just did it. And I think they did that really well. And then I don't believe, I never got the feeling that my folks ever second guessed themselves. And I feel like they did that really well. Like, there was never a time where I thought that they were going to say, oh, I don't know, like, should we have said that or should we have not said that? But that it was always, well, what's done is done. And the best we can do is move forward.
Awesome. Question number 2. This is from Crystal C. So, shout out, Crystal, if you're watching. Talking. When your parents... Sorry. When your parents talked about your adoption with you, was there wording that they used that you either appreciated or you didn't like looking back? And there's the second part to the question.
Okay.
Did you guys incorporate any Korean culture in your life currently, or do you now?
Okay.
So, the first part, you know, my parents didn't necessarily call me adopted for me. I was into their family, like from day one. And I was 5 months. I thought I was 6 months. Apparently I was 5 months. My wife had to correct me on this because I don't even know when I was adopted. But, you know, whenever I was there, again, I was welcomed directly into their family. And growing up, I was always a part of it. And so they never called me their adopted son. I was just their son. They never said that I was their adopted kid. I was just their kid. And so whenever they introduced me to other people, hey, this is my kid, Brett. You know, and my dad would always make the joke, you know, like, don't we look alike? No, we don't. Stop that.
Funny.
No, it's not funny.
It's still funny.
It's not funny. And he still does that to this day. Waitresses will come up, oh, that's your son. Yeah, don't we look alike? Stop. Ah, that hurt.
Thank you, Dave, for making our lunch outings that much more memorable.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't think that there's any wording, but there is that. Like, I do hear some stories from the other adoptees that we're in contact with that talk about, you know, being introduced as, like, the adopted, you know, here's my son and this is my adopted son, or here's my, you know, whatever. I didn't really ever have that either, that experience, but I can imagine that was really off-putting.
That would be awful.
Would be really terrible to have to go through. It brings to mind, there's a movie, The Royal Tenenbaums, with,
I think you made it up.
No, it's a movie with the Royal Tenenbaums. It's got Gwyneth Paltrow and Ben Stiller in it and stuff. But one of the characters in that is introduced as, and these are my kids, and this is my daughter, and this one's adopted. And and that's
horrible.
Like, that's a horrible thing.
It's the worst thing you could say.
It's funny to me, I guess, but yeah, that's not good. So, but none of that ever came up. That was never a thing that really came up, and there was never a distinction or a delineation. Like, my folks were always very honest when it would come up. If I ever brought it up, they were very honest about it. But it was never something that was like, hey, here you go, like, random person on the street, like, this is my son, and by the way, just so you know, he's adopted. Because you couldn't tell already, or
Dum dum dum.
whatever. Though, hilarious because that's where most of those just insane questions come from.
They do, and they are really insane. So, second part of that question is, do you incorporate any Korean culture in your life currently?
Kimchi.
Lots of kimchi.
So much kimchi.
Kimchi's the best.
It is delicious.
Even if you're not Korean, you're still allowed to enjoy kimchi.
Because it's great.
It's the freaking greatest. I had nowhere to go with the rest of that, so I just went.
Other than the kimchi and the food options, no.
Chopsticks?
I'm pretty proficient with chopsticks. I did discover the spoon and chopsticks method of eating this year, and I bought some for my wife. Got me some for Christmas, and they're fantastic. Like, I love to eat chopsticks and spoon, and just, I mean, it's the most efficient way for me to eat. Fantastic.
Koreans got it right. They know what they were doing.
Right? Like forks and knives, whatever. Just shovel that in there, man, and pick it up. And like, I feel super finesse-y when I use the chopsticks, but I can also just shovel food in as fast as possible. That's about the extent of the Korean culture that I've got. My kids do actually have my given Korean family name. So when I was shipped over. When I came over.
When I got country.
My birth certificate does in fact have my full name, my full name, David Overholser, and as well as my Korean name that I'm not going to try to do for all of you right now. But as part of that, like as much as I don't really bring this up in everyday conversation about being adopted, it is still a part of who I am, and being Korean, being Asian is part of who I am. But culturally, not a ton. But I guess I would call it an homage.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
it's a good way of putting it. I do.
But like my kids have part of that name, and I feel like it's part of who I am, and I'm pretty happy about it. I'm confident about it.
My kid is named after a horror film.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No.
You don't watch horror films.
I hate horror films.
So not really named after.
No, but she got the same name. So moving on, next question. This is from GD Govan. I'm gonna say that's how you pronounce it because I don't know any other way to do it. Well, GD Govan.
Yeah.
Did you have siblings who were also adopted? Did that / would that have helped you feel any different or not feel different / alone / disconnected from others in the same situation? What would you tell a kid who is just starting to talk about feeling different, about feeling bad when people point out their differences right now? So, for the first part, he's Only child. I have two brothers. I have one brother who is like 20 years older than me, who is my parents' biological son. And then I also have a brother who's 3 years younger than me. Shout out, Derek. There you go.
Hey.
Who is Korean as well. And it's hilarious because, like, whenever I was, like, the comment or the question, I was thinking about it. I was like, did that help me feel different? No. Me personally, no. Because we weren't comrades. We were rivals. Because he's my younger brother.
That's true to this day.
It is. And so, sure, like if anybody made fun of him or anything like that, I was always there to punch the kid in the face because that's what I like to do anyways. When I was younger, I was a horrible human being. For the most part, again, we were raised by the same family. We had the same upbringing. We had the same experiences. And so, we were a part of my parents' family at that time. Let me rephrase that. We weren't just a part of my parents' family. We were a family together.
That's better.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. That's better.
And so, as far as the whole being Korean and being adopted thing, it didn't make a huge difference for me growing up. As my annoying little brother who I liked to pick on and who chased me around all the time, and we would play sports and video games, and he dropped a cat on my head once. That was horrible. That's about it. Yeah.
You don't want a cat dropped on your head.
No.
I remember a specific time in which my parents were considering adopting again, and did bring that up. They said, how would you feel about... My mom, I think, really did want a boy and a girl, and she, what would it be like? And I remember, I think I was probably like 5 or 6 at the time, and I remember being aggressively neutral about that. Just, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Whatever you guys decide.
So that'd be cool or not. I don't know. Like, I didn't have any baseline for that. I was an only child up until that point, and everything after also, which is, it is what it is. I don't think that I ever really wish that I had siblings. There's some weird stuff that goes on with, like, a lot of the books and a lot of the studies that you read about adoptees that are separated from birth families that have a sense for whether or not they have family out there. And to be honest, I've always thought that I probably have siblings out there somewhere.
Right.
They're not bred.
Wait.
No, we've discussed the vlogs now, but they're not. Oh, don't cry.
I'm sad.
Get a lozenge and feel better.
Sponsored. Never
But
mind, I didn't know.
I have always kind of thought that I'd have siblings out there someplace, and there's some interesting stories about that maybe we'll talk about somewhere down the line here. But I don't know that it would have made much of a difference as far as feeling less different. But I have no way of quantifying that.
For some people, it does. It makes a huge difference having, that community surround them. And everybody's different. I mean, honestly, these are just our experiences. And it kind of goes directly into the second part of the question. What would you tell somebody who is starting to feel different now? Generally, that is about middle school age, right? I'm actually, a middle school pastor as well. I get to work with all the time. Shout out, you guys. I'm doing a lot of shout outs.
Bless you, sir, because I have no desire to do
You used to do it.
Was that a hashtag, or was that
I don't know. It was a cross. Like,
no,
that's a hashtag.
It looked like you were hashtagging. Hashtag middle school, hashtag red pastor, hashtag adopted.
And so...
Hashtag Dave O'Rocks.
Yeah, well, that's cute. But, middle schoolers, first of all, let's take it this way. Middle schoolers always feel different. Doesn't matter if you're adopted or not.
That is true.
You're going to feel different. You're going to feel weird.
The adoption just exacerbates it a little bit.
And chemically, neurologically speaking, it does play a huge part into your upbringing. It plays a huge part into how you perceive the world around you, how you perceive yourself, because there are certain things that are not built up yet in your brain. You want to talk a little about that real briefly? So not bore people?
Sure. I don't know if I can do that, actually. Neurologically, there are neurological differences in adopted brains that are separated from their mother at birth. And in middle school and in adolescence, that manifests itself in several different ways. And typically, it's either rebellion or compliance, right? Which is normal for middle school, but it's just intensified. I was compliant. I think Derek was rebellious, right? Like, if you talk about that, Brett's still pretty compliant, though he tries to be rebellious.
I'm just rebellious by nature, not about being Asian, just about life.
Whatever. Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do.
But there's that level of like, oh, we're so different and everything is so different and blah blah blah, and what am I gonna do with my life? But I think that's actually, I feel like that's more middle school than adopted. It's more easily quantifiable in adoption.
Yeah,
right.
You see it a lot more.
We see that a lot in kids because there is really there's no clique for adopted Asians because there's only like one or two of us.
Culture camp.
Culture camp was kind of my whole experience, right? I was the only one in my middle school and in my high school. There were a lot of Asians. Well, there was a moderate amount of Asians, and there were a lot of white kids, but...
I was like the only Asian.
From that pure standpoint, I was always just kind of me, but you just gravitate to the people that you like, and hopefully, I'd say this to any middle schooler, but especially to adoptees, embrace it. Look, this is who we are, and hopefully this is helpful to you, that this is that's terrible. But this is who you could become.
Hooray!
Right? You don't have to be sad about it. We're kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like there's a level of this that I would say we're totally we've kind of got things together, and much of that is looking at looking at all of our experiences and saying we came out of it, and the lives that we lead today are pretty awesome. They're pretty amazing, and so too can yours be. And the sooner you can come to terms with that, the sooner you can kind of move on and be happy.
Be
right?
happy.
That would have saved me a lot of time.
Yep. Had your time machines, man. So Melissa T asked this. We actually went over this in a previous video. We'll briefly recap it again. You can go if you guys want to be able to get more in depth with it. Says, what's the hardest age, or what was the hardest age for you growing up, and what could have made it easier? Middle school.
Middle school.
Middle school's the worst.
It's terrible.
That's why I work with them.
It's not great.
Because it's the worst.
You break out, you have acne.
You talk like this.
Voice is cracking.
I don't know what to do.
Your emotions are all over the place.
Chemically, you're just so imbalanced.
Like,
just so...
Girls.
Girls, you don't care anymore. You just want to run away from them instead. Because you don't know what to do.
Cry a lot.
Middle school. Middle school's the hardest. Because there's a lot of identity things that happen in middle school. You know, there's a lot of decisions that you make on who you want to be when you grow up. And that actually starts, you know, kind of that 6th grade, 7th grade era right there is when you actually start looking at how other people live and how your friends live and everything else. And you're like, oh, do I want to go this way or do I want to go that way? And so you're already making a lot of really decisions. And to just throw adoption in there just kind of magnifies it a lot more, you know, because again, a lot of adoptees who go through this, they go through it in middle school. It's hard.
Yeah.
But you can do it. That's the beauty about it. You can get through it.
Yeah. I think it would have been helpful to know that some of that stuff is normal for who we are, right? Like, it's about the 11, 12, 13-ish range that starts to finally click in it clicked in my brain that I'm adopted, and that means that somewhere out there is a family, is a connection that I probably am never going to know, and why is that? And the mystery of that causes a lot of confusion, causes a lot of questions, and I actually had a pretty significant mental break at about that time. So again, I think we've talked about this before, but family tree project, and you have a kid going into middle school, and there's a family tree project. Because apparently this is a universal, right? Heads up. That doesn't mean it has to be terrible, but like just knowing that was coming probably would have made things easier for my family. And then even to know that I have these feelings, right? And a lot of those feelings have to do with the question of why was I given up, and the identity of myself. Baby, like, what did I do that required me to be given up? And this is not an indictment on you as a parent, as an adoptive parent. It's just a question that almost every adoptee has, and that's when it comes to light. Is about 11, 12, 13 in that range, and there's really nothing you can do about it but work through it and come to terms. But I would say this to those kids going through that now, that you can work through it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be. There's part of that that's hard. We're going to mature, at least mentally in that regard, a lot faster than probably is expected because we have to come to terms with some pretty adult stuff pretty young in life.
Yep.
But we can.
Yeah, be open. Be open with those around you. Ask questions, you know. Don't be afraid of receiving the answers either. That's the other side of it. A lot of people will ask the questions, but they're afraid of the answer they're going to get back. Don't be afraid. I mean, you know, I asked my parents questions. They love me. I know they love me. So it wasn't that hard for me to be able to accept what they had to say.
I don't remember asking a ton of questions.
Me neither, but
I probably could have.
I probably should have.
My parents would have answered those questions.
I should have asked a lot more.
There's a lot of that dialogue that didn't really happen until the last few years. And now I've got some answers that I would have been able to handle at that age. And it might have given me a head start, but I think hormonally, maybe, it might have been a little bit more, you know, rocky, volatile to have gone through it then.
So, this is, real quick, just want to remind you guys, if you have any more questions, put them in the comment section. My wife actually just commented a little while ago, said, my daughter is not in a horror movie. Her name means beauty and grace, you butt. Thanks, wife. I love you. You're the best. But hey, Sarah and I calling each other butts are
well done.
It's our love language. So yeah, again, make sure you guys get your questions in there because we have wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it.
Oh.
Boom!
Hey.
Right there. Wait, am I pointing at it?
There you go.
Hey. Right there. We got the t-shirts going up, and we're going to be giving away one of these t-shirts, whatever one that you like. And we're going to ship it to you wherever you're at, unless you're in, New Zealand.
You know what? No. If you're in New Zealand, we're still going to find a way to ship you a shirt.
No, we're
going to do it.
You have to come to us.
Does New Zealand have anything I want?
I don't know. Again, this would be one of those points.
Hobbits.
This would be one of those points where we cut and we move on, but we're doing it live, so we can't. So go check out the link if you guys want a t-shirt. Otherwise, again, we're going to give away one.
Or a mug.
Or a mug.
Or a mouse pad.
Or so much other stuff. Dude, you can get a sticker. Those stickers look pretty sick.
Pretty
I'm just
cool.
going to say. You should go check it out.
That you can use any of the different colors, schemes that are available there on the website. And that's going to be kind of our new phrase, by the way, as well, for this level of line of content is don't make it weird.
Yep. 'Cause we're adopted.
Even though we're basically doing the opposite of that.
We can make it weird. Other people
can't
can't.
make it weird.
No, it's mean if you do.
I can make it weird.
So, back to the questions.
Okay.
This question comes from Brittany T. Probably no relation to Melissa T. What is something you wish your parents did or something they did to help you understand your feelings and questions about being adopted?
I don't remember having a conversation about, are you having any of these issues that you're having because of adoption until high school? Because it was about that time that my mom started realizing, or started researching actually on her own, that adoptees do have neurological differences, do have things that set us apart and cause some issues. And my mom and I actually, we had a pretty rocky patch from basically 7th grade until college. And then even a little bit beyond there, because there were some attachment things that I think maybe didn't quite occur. And I think if we had been able to address that stuff, or even if she had known, if my mom had known she was never one to shy away from asking the hard questions, and never one to shy away from showing me affection in whatever way was necessary. And I think if she had known that, she would have addressed that a lot sooner. She would have addressed it in middle school, or even prepared the way for it in elementary school. But the fact is that for me, honestly, most of that stuff didn't come to light as being an adoption issue until I was in junior or senior year of high school. And by then, it was a little too late. I was not prepared anymore to receive that. And my mom and my dad, they both said exactly the things that they should have said. I think maybe it would have made things a little bit easier if they'd said them sooner, earlier in my life, and we had opened that dialogue a lot sooner. Or even to have read some of the stuff that actually didn't even come out until I was in my 20s. Now I've read a lot of stuff that has helped me process, and I would love to have had those conversations with my parents. And if I could have read that back in high school, it would have opened up, I think, a lot of those dialogues.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing for me was my parents never forced any of the conversations on me. If I wanted to talk about it, I talked about it. And if I didn't, they left it alone. It's not like, hey, Brett, we're going to sit down and talk about your adoption. No, that would have been horrible. That would have been the worst thing ever. And if Melanie McKay, you are still watching, yes, it's the worst, because everything is the worst. So, my parents... Sorry, watch the other videos. She comments on it. She hates me. But, again, my parents never really forced the issue on me. They never made it feel like there was something that needed to really come up. And again, this is my experience. His experiences are different than my experiences. And we're hoping that you can pull something out of this. But...
Disclaimer.
Yeah, right? But I had to take initiative. Anything that I truly desired, anything that I really wanted to know, I was the one who had to take initiative. And that was something that I had to come to terms with myself. I had to figure out how to take initiative. I had to figure out how to be brave, even when I'm afraid of what I'm going to find out. If I genuinely wanted to know, then I needed to be the one to take the step. And again, if you're an adoptee out there and you're watching this video, don't be afraid to step out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're watching this with your parents, chances are they want to talk to you as well. So make sure that you guys start that dialogue if it's something you need. And if it's not, I mean, it's fine. don't feel like you're awkward because of it. I never felt weird because I didn't question my adoption for like, years and years and years. I went through a phase or two and that was about it. I came to terms with everything pretty quickly and I was like, okay, I'm going to move on.
Yeah, you're weird for so many more
I am
reasons than that.
so weird, but you love me.
Don't do that.
So this question just came in on the chat. So
Hey,
this is
cool.
from Jessica327.
That's awesome.
I know, right? Thank you for submitting your question. Hey, submit more questions. Win t-shirts. Both of you mentioned not having a ton of other Asians in your community while growing up. Do you think it would have helped you to be in a community with more Asians? Why or why not? Okay, let me go first. Okay.
Go ahead.
This is weird of me.
Okay.
I like being the minority. I go to downtown Ann Arbor, and downtown Ann Arbor is like a college campus, U of M and stuff, and it's filled with Asians. I feel so awkward among all those other Asians. I'm like, I don't know what to do because I've kind of embraced the whole minority persona, and it's become a part of who I am, and I like being different, and I'm okay with that.
You're a special snowflake.
I am a special
You're a shining
snowflake.
star.
Hooray! And so, well, that was... It's the worst. I apologize.
You're welcome.
But again, it may have been fun to have a couple other Asian people around to just make Asian jokes. I don't know. But, I mean... Is that racist? Is that horrible?
You
but-
can make it weird.
Yeah. But I mean, growing up, I was in a white neighborhood, like extremely white. Like the nearest non-white person was probably like 5 miles away from where I lived. And so there's no way that we're actually hanging out on a daily basis. And it was never awkward for me. At first, I got the questions, hey, why do you look different? Oh, it's because I'm adopted. Oh, cool, where are you from? And blah, blah, blah. And then we moved on. But, like now, whenever I find other Asians, it is really fun. To kind of play the Asian card. I'm Asian, you're Asian.
No way.
I know, it's so weird. It is kind of fun doing that now, but whenever I was younger, it was just, honestly for me, it was just like, oh cool, you're adopted too, okay. But I'm kind of a jerk, so it's a little different.
There is that.
Yeah, you were in Colorado.
Yeah, I was raised in Boulder, which is a little bit of like just a liberal oasis in the middle of Colorado. And growing up, my neighbor 3 doors down and across the street was a guy named Bruce, super cool dude, and he and his family were Taiwanese, and very welcoming to me, and very pleasant people. And he and I hung out a lot in those early years, and I think a lot of that was because we were both Asian, but I never really had like the Asian experience because of him. There were parts of his upbringing that were very Asian, right? That were very like, he was like an expert piano player by the time he was 7, and his family actually owned a Chinese restaurant with a Mongolian barbecue, which was just phenomenal. They sold it and got into real estate, which was really a bummer for me. But but to that degree, to be honest, I hang out better with white people.
Me too.
The Asian community and I never had a problem with people that are Asian, raised Asian, but culturally, I'm white.
Me too. Hooray!
I'd rather eat a cheeseburger than I don't know what stereotypical thing. I read some Western novels.
Yeah, you like Western novels.
I do enjoy Western
That was your
novels.
family, though. Your dad wrote Western novels.
He did. Shameless plug.
Hooray! Go
Search
check it
him
out.
on
Steven
Amazon.
Alonso. Oh, I can't put it
No,
here.
you can't put anything there.
Darn it!
This is live.
This is live.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. But, I mean, would it have been fun? Yeah. Was I okay? Yeah.
I actually think might have made it worse. Because
He's horrible.
It wasn't my culture, right?
That's true, too, I guess.
My culture was German and ish and Italian.
Yeah. mine
And
too.
Western.
Sauerkraut, man. My grandpa and
Sauerkraut.
grandma loved sauerkraut.
Pasta, bro. I love me some pasta.
Yeah, my parents are from Pittsburgh, so,
Cheesesteaks?
Yeah, no, that's Philly.
Oh, Philadelphia.
That's Philly.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know anything about
But no, it might have. It might have made it a little worse.
I don't know.
Just because culturally differences, like, you know,
yeah.
you're not.
Like Bruce was
Korean.
Taiwanese, and I like he had like Chinese school, like Jewish kids have Hebrew school, you know, or whatever, like Taiwanese school where he would go and learn like the language and that sort of like specific stuff on weekends. And like there was a part of me that wanted to do that. I remember. I mean, I was like 6 or 7 at the time. Like, oh, I should go and do that too
looks
because
so
I'm
cool.
Asian. But in retrospect, it sounds terrible because I didn't really want to do the regular school I was doing.
Heck no.
So I don't
Not
know.
a chance.
It might have been. No
David
opinion?
Carlton says, Brett, your parents sound awesome. My parents are white.
My wife says there's a significant sound delay.
Oh. If there's a significant sound delay, I apologize. Wait. Jeremiah, is there a significant sound delay?
It might just be our connection at home. Anyway, sorry.
Apologize. It's because we're going long. All right, moving on.
Technical issues.
We got to get going because
Okay.
we got to end this in a little while. So, Andrea K., what have your experiences been with other non-adopted Asian kids? Have you dealt with this? Kind of just answered this. Felt more comfortable with them. Non-adopted.
Asian kids.
Just Asian kids felt, awkward. Adopted kids, I didn't have a problem with. I didn't know a ton of them,
I
but
think I knew like 3
yeah.
other adopted kids.
I mean-
think there were more, but I only knew about 3 of them.
I mean, adopted kids don't really make it known that they're adopted for the most part, though.
It doesn't come up in everyday
They're
conversation.
not like,
It doesn't
hey,
come up
my
as an
name is
adult.
Brett. What's your name? I'm adopted. How? What about you?
That's why we're selling T-shirts.
Yeah, I'm adopted. Don't make it weird. What? Buy one. Wait, hang on.
Oh.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
Is it
Click the
coming?
button. Boop. It's right there. Button clicked.
So
Buy that.
now, if you want to bypass all of that and get straight to the awkwardness, now you can just wear a T-shirt and get it out there.
Yeah.
I recommend that more for like high school kids than maybe middle school kids
Yeah.
or babies. Also,
Babies.
Yes.
So,
they make that in a onesie, I think.
but I mean, adopted kids, or hang on. Let me read the question again. What have your experiences been with other non-adopted Asian kids? So kids.
Real Asians.
Real Asians. Oh,
Yeah.
we're not real Asians.
No.
Oh no. Ah!
Genetically, sure. But like it's like we were raised by wolves, right? Like it's the same thing.
Yep.
That's
I
terrible.
I honestly didn't have a lot of experience with any real Asians. It wasn't a big thing. Again, I was one of the only Asians in my town, in my school, so it was a little bit different for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've met a couple of them,
Sure.
and as adults, they're pretty cool.
Sure.
As children, I can see how they would be nightmares.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like middle school, adolescence, kids are gonna look for any difference and just
Anything.
ride it into the ground, right? Like, in elementary school, the major difference was the shape of my face, right? So, like in profile, I'm pretty got a flat face. Like I don't have a.
Oh. You run into a wall or something?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
basically
that's
what
what
happened.
happened.
It was a high-speed
Yeah.
collision.
Yeah.
And that was basically what I told kids in 5th grade. Because it was easier than trying to explain that, like, no, I'm Asian, so heads up, like, here's the deal. I don't really know how to explain that to you because I'm, 10 or 5 or whatever. As an adult, it's a lot easier to make fun of it and do those things. But, I understand that, and I've encountered some of this as well, but not as much, where, like, on the Asian side, you get Asians that think that you're not Asian enough. You get white kids that think that you're not white enough. And I mean,
You're so Asian.
Clearly, I'm not black, so whatever. We don't have any part of that there.
No.
But I think kids are going to be kids, and those kids are going to find whatever difference they can and naturally form up with whatever's like, and then ride those differences into the ground. And that's what makes being adopted difficult in that circumstance, is that there is no other that
Yep.
for you. Which may be part of the reason I don't particularly embrace the Asian side as much. I mean, I don't speak the language. I don't know the culture. I like the food.
Yeah.
But I like lots of food.
I just got a text from my wife. I'm a horrible person, apparently. She said in all caps, Brett, you can't say Asian kids would be nightmares. Sorry.
Half Asian kids are cool.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. My kid is awesome.
She's half Asian.
Anyway, Anyways, okay.
Questions and comments are a little disheartening.
Yeah, right? Sorry, I apologize for that. I love you all.
Kids are going to be kids, bullies are going to be bullies, and the best that you can do is know who you are.
Yep.
Right?
Be confident.
This is who we are, if there had been a majority group of adopted Asians in my school, you can be absolutely sure that I would have joined up with them, and we would have found some other group and made the fun out of them.
Yep.
Like, we would have done that, because that's what kids do. But we didn't have that experience, and that means that we came to the conclusion that individually, hey, we have to be cool with who we are.
Yeah.
Or it will destroy us.
Yep, for sure.
But we will not be destroyed.
Next question, Steve W. So, being a dad with adopted kids, I see them struggle with identity issues. If you could have a conversation with yourself in your teenage years, what would you say? What do you wish you knew back then? Magic time machine. So,
Love those time machines.
I know, right? Again, I dropped the questions. Again, being confident. Being confident in who you are. Being confident in your family. There's a reason why you're with your family. He left me. That made me sad.
Answer the question.
And so, being able to hold yourself with confidence. And, I learned this from my friend Jason McKay. So, again, another shout out. Woo! Fake it till you make it. Sometimes it's really hard to deal with a lot of the situations, a lot of the identity stuff. And again, you're going to go through it regardless of what age you are as a teenager, because you're forming who you want to be. And so, it's going to happen regardless. But being able to be confident in who you are, being confident that your family loves you, being confident that the people surrounding you are going to be there, it plays a huge role into how you actually view the world around you. Decision that you have to make to be confident. It's not something that happens naturally. I so wish it was. But it's a decision that you have to decide every single day that you wake up. I'm going to be confident in who I am. I'm going to be confident that my family is there for me, and I'm going to remember that they love me. Not just as one of their own, but as their own. Yeah.
If you conversation with a teenager, that guy was kind of a snot. I mean,
Yep. So is
I'm not so
me?
old as to not so was me.
So is
I'm
me.
not so
I
old as to
respect
not
that
be
too.
able to remember that I was kind of a snot in high school and in my teenage years, and but again, I don't necessarily know that this is an adoption thing so much as a teenager thing, but none of it matters. As an adult, like, I remember when all of those things matter, but 15, 20 years down the line, they just don't anymore.
Yeah, they're
Most
real
of the
in the
stuff
moment.
that was so important is shaping you, and it's defining you, I suppose, but a lot of it, you move on.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to move on better or not. So,
Yep.
yeah, that's my answer to that.
Got another question in right here.
Ooh.
From Isabella. This is a good question. I actually really like this question right here. What advice do you have for Asian adoptees growing up in the age of technology? Buckle up for people to ask you to fix their crap.
That is going to happen.
It is hilarious how many times we get that. I don't know what you're referring to, Isabella. So I mean, if you want to be able to chime in, go ahead anytime. I'll keep an eye on this. But I mean, as far as the age of technology, first of all, it's a scary age for anybody, and especially as a parent, because you never know what your kid is going to be a part of, and at any given time. The phone right here has changed the way that we do life. Social media has changed the way that we do community, and so in the age of technology, for me, first of all, I embrace it. If you're talking about, what about, do they want to go find their parents or ancestry or anything like that? I don't know. I mean, we're going to do an ancestry DNA test here, which is going to be funny.
It'll be something.
It's something. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the information is at your fingertips. I think the thing that I enjoy being an adoptee that also has access to all this technology is also the thing that gives me a lot of pause which is that there is so much available.
Yep.
And a lot of what's available is very encouraging. A lot of what's available is something that I can look at and say, oh, that's awesome, or this is a thing that helps me, or is going to help me connect, or is going to help me to find my community. And there's other adoptees that like this, right? There's other people out there that need the stories that we have, and that's. But there's also a lot of horror stories that I wouldn't have to be subjected to if I didn't have this technology. So being aware that you're gonna find a lot of different stuff out there, and it's up to you to discern how you want to interpret that, and whether or not you're gonna be made stronger by it or broken by it. That's up to you. But there's so much available with the technology now that it can go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you have questions about anything that you find on the internet, like, stuff bringing up the topic of adoption or anything like that, and you're just not sure, ask. That's, again, the beauty of, social media and other things. You got to sift through the garbage to find the gold sometimes. But, being able to ask questions and see what other people's opinions are, go on different forums, join groups, whatever you got to do if that's your thing. And if not, again, just buckle up for people to ask you to fix their garbage.
If you get an email from a Nigerian prince,
always open it and respond. I mean, don't do that ever. All right, this is the last question that we have on the piece of paper.
Probably the last one we have time for.
Oh.
Actually. So we're gonna hit the hour, and then we're gonna kick out. So
this is from Wallace Company Department Nurse.
Wallace County.
Wallace County. I don't know. Says, what is your response to the comments from adult adoptees, some angry about culture? Short of a visit, what can we do to celebrate the holidays and eating Asian food?
Maybe it's what can we do besides?
In addition to?
I don't know. I kind of paraphrased that one.
Oh. I remember this question, though.
Yeah.
And, basically, it's, as a kid or as a mom or parent, what could you do if your kid is adopted? And, is this the one that they were asking? No, that's a different question.
Different question.
But basically, what kind of things can you involve or, put in your kid's life? Honestly, ask them. Don't just assume that they want it. Don't just assume that they're going to love it. I mean, sure, experiment every once in a while. Introduce them to kimchi. It'll change their life, especially if they're Korean.
That's pretty fantastic.
So definitely do that one. But, I mean, ask them. Hey, you want to try this today? You want to go eat Korean barbecue? It's like $120,000, but we're going to do it because we love you. If my parents are watching, then they should go take me out to Korean barbecue.
I want to go.
Yeah, okay, you can go too.
Thank you. Thanks, Brett's parents.
Yeah,
for
shout
inviting me via Brett to go eat Korean barbecue. It's easier for me to interact in a situation that's not actually very Asian centric. We have we actually have a Korean barbecue that's opening up next door, and I can tell that. Well, we hope that they're still working on it. And I'm really excited about it, but there's also a level of apprehension that comes along with that, in that I walked over there to say hey, and she was like legit disappointed I didn't speak any Korean.
Which is so funny.
And as a kid, I remember having a lot of apprehension because the assumption is that I'm going to know. Of all the people that just entered this restaurant, this is the one that's going to be able to answer all the questions and do all the things. And it's just like... which is actually kind of my apprehension about ever wanting to go back and visit. Is just like,
man.
And if I do, I am taking a white
white translator.
So if you're white and you speak fluent Korean, let's talk, because I want you to go with me to Korea and translate for me.
It'll be awesome.
It's gonna be amazing.
Weird so many people out.
But I think honestly, much as, like, again, we're going to call back to culture camp, as much as that was a thing that we did and kind of got me in touch with my roots or whatever, the truth of the matter is I'm an American. And I hold mostly American values.
That's Canada, never mind.
Oh, America. Your stars are... Okay.
Yeah, you tried. Good job. My wife just texted me. She wants me to tell a story.
Edit. Yeah. So that's I think all the time that we actually have
I want to tell a story.
for questions. So Brett's gonna end us on a story, and
This is my story about being Asian and not Asian enough. You ready?
I'm ready.
Buckle up, everybody.
It's gonna be good.
We were on a little mini vacation with a bunch of other people, and we ended up going to this place called Ju Thai, which we thought was a Thai restaurant. Well, apparently Ju Thai is a Chinese term for something. I don't know exactly. But it was like legit Northern Chinese. Like everybody in there spoke. All the patrons and customers spoke Chinese. They had one white waitress in order to kind of translate for everybody else who was not Chinese.
That's awesome.
Which was just our table. And so I wanted to order this thing called the hot pot because it had a bunch of delicious looking things in there. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And I like spicy. And so, you know, the Chinese waitress comes up to us and is like, you know, oh, can I take your order? That was really
That
bad.
was so racist.
That was so bad. But I can do that because I'm Asian. Woo! And so she comes up and asks if she can take our order, gets through everybody, and I'm like, yeah, can I get the hot pot? She's like, oh, no, you know, American don't like that flavor. And at that point, I have never felt less Asian in my life, and I just wanted to order a corn dog just slathered in ketchup. It was great, and everybody made fun of me for it. It's my story. Yeah. So yeah, that is all the time that we have. If you have more questions, feel free to submit them. We'll do a follow-up video with anything that we missed or any coming up questions that you guys missed. You know, we'll make sure that we hit on all of it. Again, ready? Boom! T-shirts. So for all those people who submitted their questions, thank you guys so much. You guys are going to be in the drawing for a T-shirt. If you have any other questions, I mean, we'll probably pick the winner of the T-shirt tonight, so you may miss out. But you should still ask anyways.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I don't know how to end this.
Yeah, go ahead and check out the link below for the merch side of what we do and some other things that are going to be coming up there. Like, comment, subscribe. Though I'm assuming most of you that are watching this have already done that.
Yeah, if not, do it anyways.
You know, what scenarios have you been through? What stories do you have to tell? You know, let's talk. Let's have that dialogue. What other questions do you have? We want to be a resource. We want to be available to you, and hopefully our anecdotes and our perspectives are helpful for you if you're an adoptee, if you're an adoptive parent, a prospective adoptive parent, a birth family, whatever you are in relation to adoption. We're super thrilled and super humbled to be able to speak about this stuff. It is the wonder of technology. It's the wonder of this global community. And I think I would say that to adoptees as a whole is that, hey guys, really, what it comes down to is this for me. You're not alone.
Nope.
You may be the only one at your school, the only one in your city, or the only one that you know. But there's more of us out there. And at the end of the day, when you're older especially, maybe you'll have a better perspective on this, but we're pretty awesome.
Yeah, we are.
And humble.
We're the best.
Super humble.
The most humble.
The humblest.
Of all the humbles.
Truth. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to post this video up later so you can watch it later.
Share it.
And share it with your friends.
Watch it with your family.
Let the rest of your Asian adopted, adults adopted, whatever communities know that this is here, and we're going to continue to put out content and keep talking about it as we go. So I think that's going to be it. So for now, for the end of this evening and our first 5A Summit, which is a lofty name for just me and him talking about stuff, I'm Dave-O.
I'm Brett.
So much energy.
I'm going to go follow her after this.
We're AGA Productions. Thank you so much for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And don't make it weird.
Love y'all. Peace out. That was the worst.
Is that the end?
I think so.
Did we?
Bye, guys.
Did we?